Mr. Scary Studios.
Quick disclaimer, this story isn't anything paranormal like my usual stories, but I thought I'd share this because this was crazy. So this happened in my sophomore year of high school. I live in a pretty bad neighborhood, but since I've lived there all my life, I know everyone around there, even the drug dealers and the thugs. They watch out for me since my mom used to be in a car gang. Where I live, we have trolleys, so I have to take a specific trolley to get home. Where I get off is probably known as one of the worst ideas, but as I've said before, it's around the corner from my house, so I don't have any worries. I usually cut through the alley as a shortcut. Here's where it starts. I was walking toward the alley and a red Honda pulled up beside me. There were 3 men in the car. One was driving and the other 2 were in the back. He opened the passenger door and said, "Hey cutie, want to take a ride with us?" I didn't respond because my mother always taught me not to respond to things like that. I walked into the alley and heard the man say, "Get her." I heard more car doors open and presumed it was the men in the back. I ran as fast as I could down the alley because it leads to my street. I didn't look back until I got to my door. About a week passes and I didn't see the car or the men, but I clearly remember their faces as usual. I was walking home from the trolley, heading to the alley. You'd think I would have learned a lesson from walking in the alley alone, but no, I didn't. While I'm walking, I see a parked red Honda. I didn't see anyone in it, and it wasn't on. So I didn't think anything of it until I feel someone grab my arm. I screamed as loud as I could. It was the same guy, and the other 2 were hiding in the crevice of the wall. I bit his arm, he let go, and I ran. This time I told my mom, and she was furious when I filed a report. But we filed a report. The men were never found. Every time I see a red Honda, I get anxious.
Number 2.
Every Friday afternoon, my elementary school students write stories about anything they wish. This tale was handed in by an 8-year-old last week, a normal, well-adjusted lad, I had thought. You know those flyers that are placed on your car windshield and posted in your mailbox? From a circus that's coming to town? If you ever find a flyer from Chop Chop's Magic Circus with a big smiling fireman clown's face on it, burn it straight away. Never take it into your home. A dad brought one inside with the mail and dropped it on the hallway floor. That night, when the family went to bed, something very strange happened. The clown on the flyer named Chop Chop looked from side to side and then jumped right out of the flyer. Did a flip and landed on his big clown feet. He had a red nose, big yellow fireman's pants, a red fireman's hat, and a shiny fireman's axe and bucket. He loves to be out of the flyer and up to his old tricks. He's a clever clown, very quiet and good at what he does. He did a silent cartwheel up the stairs and into the first bedroom. There was a mom and dad fast asleep. It was very dark, but Chop Chop likes the dark. He stood and looked down at the mom. He has magic powers, so he knows all about people. The mom was okay, but would shout at her son for getting muddy at the riverbank and wash him until his knees stung. Chop Chop went chop chop. Then he stood and looked down at the dad, who was okay, but wouldn't let his son watch the big TV in the DVD room. And when he found his son inside, he shouted that he'd messed up everything. Chop Chop went chop chop. Chop Chop did a happy roll past the next bedroom, as he knew a good boy was asleep inside, rolled 8 right into a grandma's room. She had moved in to be with her family all the time. Chop Chop knew all about her. She pinched her grandson's neck when the police chop chop went chop chop, but he enjoyed it so much he didn't stop. Chop 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 chop. He tumbled down the stairs with his bucket full of blood and knew his fun was almost over. He was great at making fires, so he started a big blaze. Then did his magic flip trick back into the flyer. With a big smile on his face, the flyer soon burst into flames, but he didn't mind. He gave a secret wink and thought about the thousands of magic flyers all over the country. He wondered whose home would he end up in tomorrow night. If you think this story is disturbing, you should see the illustrations the kid drew to accompany it.
Number 3.
Y'all have to come see me about that thing, haven't y'all? A man asked. Another man in Memphis, Tennessee, at a bus station, back in 1972. Yes, sir, the man who runs the daycare across the street. The other man replied, well, sir, this daycare operator is rather slippery. No one has ever seen his face. That is why he is called the Thing. And his quarters are dark, the man explained. The men sat on the beach together. The men giving information lit a cigarette and smoked. That's about all I know, sir. Care for a cigarette? He asked the other man. Sure, thanks, he replied. Took one and lit it. Have a good evening, the man who gave the cigarette said. Thanks, you too, sir, the other man replied, and left the bus station. The man smoked outside in the night. As he opened his umbrella and walked in the rain, he stopped on the sidewalk and looked across the street at Walter's daycare. He approached it, knocking on one of the double doors of the place. The door opened, and the man walked inside. Hello, this is Sergeant Edmund, police. I have come to do a check on your daycare, sir, the man called out. He continued to smoke and closed his umbrella as he walked through the darkened playroom. Sergeant Edmund reached a door on the other side of the daycare. Good evening, Walter. Are y'all in there, sir? He called out. Good evening, Sergeant. Yes, please, come in an old man's voice replied from beyond the door. Sergeant Edmund opened the door, walking into more blackness. Howdy, Walter, sir. May I ask why y'all are sitting in the dark for? Sergeant Edmund asked. A silhouette sat in the darkness of the room, only visible by the lights outside the window. Good evening, Sergeant, sir. I sat here in the dark, so folks don't see my face. The shadowy figure of Walter answered. Y'all see Sergeant Edmund? I know am known as Thing, and am rather inhuman, the silhouette of Walter explained. Walter turned on a lamp, illuminating his horrifying features beyond his desk to Sergeant Edmund. Walter's eyes were pitch black, with tiny glowing white pupils in them. He wore a black suit and a tie, with gray hair, as he poured himself a glass of cherry-flavored brandy from a bottle and drank. Sergeant Edmund saw his gleaming fangs of silver and noticed his razor-like claws. The children are doing quite well, but since I'm a Thing, they'll never see me again, the monster spoke, growling deeply.
Number 4.
Don't destroy my dreams, my love. This is all I have. This is all I can do. These were the words he draped across my ears. I need to write what I write because the only monster haunting me is here, he said, tapping his forehead. Promise me your monsters won't leave your books and haunt us, I whispered. The ferocity of his kiss interrupted my thoughts, and just like that I brushed away whatever doubt I had of him. Then one day, as I glimpsed the yellow frenzy of springtime trees, I woke up fascinated with the sunlight slanting through our bedroom window like a reaching hand. Copper in my mouth, I turned slightly to look at him and luxuriated in his lazy morning smile. It was only when I found the hilt of a knife buried in my stomach did I try to scream through the puddle of blood in my mouth. as my life ebbed away into the sunlight. He lay caressing my hair. The only monster haunting me is here, he once said, tapping his forehead. Little did I know he was referring to himself as he got up and retreated into the shadows.
Number 5.
I'm locked away in someone's basement. Whoever put me here doesn't know at the moment. I just hacked their system and planned my breakout. I'm 26, male, and terrified of the dark down here. Why is this happening? Whatever the reason is, it's pretty sinister. 4 days ago, I was begging outside a gas station, broke and stranded. Need gas is what my sign read, that I tapped under the hood of my car, parked on the side of the road, near the pumps. The seemingly generous couple got me a sub sandwich with a fountain drink. Little did I know what was going to happen next. I thankfully told them I greatly appreciate it, as I've done out of habit. We talked for a while and enjoyed my sandwich. About 20 minutes into our conversation, I began to feel very tired, and my mind started feeling foggy. They put my arms over their shoulders and carried me to their car. The last thing I remember is being tossed in the back seat of their SUV with dark tinted windows. I was passed out. I haven't ate or drank anything since I've been locked up. They tried to feed me, but I would rather starve after being drugged once already. They allowed me to sleep except when the couple forces me to watch them fuck on webcam, or I get shocks with the dog collar around my neck. So I watched and watched, being dominated like this isn't a turn on, nor was I remotely interested in watching them have rough sex. Day 1, I spent all my time just getting familiar with my new surroundings. Making a detailed observation, I obeyed and voluntarily complied to their wishes, watching the husband plow his wife's pussy. Instead of trying to resist the experience, I reframed it as a detached experience, altogether as a nightmare, where I was dominated to watch them fuck on webcam. It was the only way I could cope. I was trapped, soaking up everything like a sponge. I picked up the space in the basement, sexual toys they used for BDSM, and both of their mannerisms. Day 2, having been shocked to wake up, I yell, I'm up, and begin to watch them as required. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I going to have to do to break free? Interesting though, they never touched me or made me do anything else other than watch them while on live webcam. It was today I was contemplating a master plan to figure out a way out. I hate these fuckers. Day 3 and 4. These 2 days meshed together because I was very weak. The night of day 3, I fiercely worked on it shortly both the dog collar and hacking the locks on the door. I saw a rusty paper clip on my second day and picked up the collar off successfully, without ruining the shocker. The next thing I did was use the same old rusty paper clip that is only a little piece and unlock the cage. I placed the locks and collar back in place to appear normal. They didn't stand a chance, I thought. I scratched a quote onto the walk and waited all night, adrenaline rushing through my veins. Finally, that morning I told them with a grin on my face, I've been waiting for you, then cracked an evil chuckle. They responded as predicted, as I made sure my thick veiny cock was pulsating hard. I then asked them if I could get a closer look this time. Contemplating these narcissists worked like a charm, as the husband adjusted the webcam and they positioned themselves doggy in front of the cage door. Then I smirked and said, with a reassuring tone, I got you where I want you, and the couple moans, yes, yes, interrupts me. Perfect, I thought to myself. Their eyes were shut and bodies facing the steps of the basement. I swiftly picked up the brick and finished saying, and now I'm going to fuck you, knocking them both out. Hurriedly I released the collar, rushed the cup to cuff them, gagged them, with the gag balls, then duct taped their mouths before they woke up. I wasn't done yet. I felt responsible for taking care of this couple once and for all. Ain't nobody going to humiliate me like that and get away. I grabbed a bite to eat, grabbed some clothes to put on since I was naked this whole time, and took the axe I found from the garage again, and I repeatedly as they awoke. Still the broadcast streaming live, I said with an evil smirk, I've got you where I want you, and now I'm going to fuck you. Taking the axe, I swung at their necks. Blood gushed all over their heads. All over as their heads rolled to the cement floor. Upon leaving, I stopped the webcam feed, dialed 911, and left an audio loop on play. I've got you where I want you, and now I'm going to fuck you, with a creepy chant like Somber, which was the quote etched on the wall.